Hey y'all, what's up? Hold on, let me close up some of these tabs here because I think it's causing my computer to go slow a bit. Hey guys, what's up? This is Kev JB here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. It has been a minute. I don't think I've done a video since early July. There's reasons for that. I'll explain that over the course of time. But it's good to be back here. Today is my birthday. I'm super excited to enter into a new chapter of living. Thank you to everybody who has already wished me happy birthday in the post, the uploaded post that I had done with my pictures and stuff. I did a post yesterday, just kind of out of the blue, saying that I was planning to come back live. I know it's been quite a minute since I have taken the time to even go live, much less, post anything or anything like that. And so I wanted to come back because I wanted to share some thoughts about something that I saw on YouTube, specifically regarding the American dream and why we'll get into that. But first, let me focus on the birthday. So for those of you all who have not seen me on the platform in about a couple of weeks or a few weeks from now, and I know Q has said that I did not have to explain this, but I'm going to explain it anyway because I feel like why not? I have been fasting. I have been fasting since the beginning of this month of September. Every year, I usually have like a monthly fast. I know last year I had a fast in July, and now this year it's on September, which is my birthday. There's a few reasons for that. For me personally, as I'm entering into a new year. Thank you, Luana. It's good seeing you. For me personally, I had a fast just for my own personal growth. For my own spirituality, I am a Christian. I have a Christian background, and so I managed to follow through with things according to the Hebrew calendar that's coming up. The new year for that is going to be on October 2nd. And no, I'm not a Hebrew Israelite. No. I practice the usual one. But I am leaning more towards things from certain orthodoxy, observing certain things in orthodoxy with Judaism to help me navigate certain things according to the seasons that I am progressing in. And so on July, I knew that I was going to be partaking in the fast for September. So I had time to psychologically prepare myself. And now I'm on day 25, which is the same date as my birthday. For most of the month, it's been nothing but 14 hours each day from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. with a dry fast, no food or water. And then after 8 p.m., I would eat whatever I want. And mainly just focus on drinking water until the next day. However, because of my birthday, I was given permission to eat something as long as it was light. So I've been taking the time to drink smoothies. I actually had a free smoothie earlier this morning. So I am super glad and super grateful. I know my camera seems to be jumping around, but I'm sure everybody can hear me. I've been taking my time to eat smoothies and catch up on the birthday love from like so many different platforms that I'm on. I'm just very grateful for life. I'm very grateful for the new age that I am in. I'm on chapter 35 of my life, and I'm super, super grateful. And I'm excited to see what is in store for it. In the meantime, I'm still in the middle of my fast. Once my birthday is over, it's going to be back to the usual until the 30th, where I am going to be not eating anything, not eating or drinking anything for 14 hours. And for a lot of people, that is quite a lot. But that is the fast that I have agreed to do until the end of September, leading into October. So for those of you who have managed to stick around all this time, waiting for my return, I actually I knew that I was going to start coming back because I started getting comments, just kind of like random comments on my videos. I know that oh my gosh, I forget who it was. But there was one person who was reaching out to me to just kind of saying that she was just thinking of me. She knew that my birthday was coming up because the Libra season. We're officially entering into we've officially entered into Libra season. But prior to that, I think it was like a week prior. She was reaching out to say hello, because normally I'm usually seen on certain platforms and I wasn't there. Part of that is due to the fast. Part of my fast also is I cannot entertain a lot of platforms that are not considered godly. And it's not until I'm done with the fast that I can go back to doing those things. But I knew right then and there, I figured it was going to be a time to come back. I just didn't know when. And then yesterday, after watching a video, a video regarding the American dream, I knew that I was going to have a conversation. I did not know it was going to end up being this conversation, but I knew it would be time to come back. So here I am. First of all, I want to say thank you again to everybody who wished me happy birthday, who are still wishing me happy birthday, like Luana. And I am excited to be back. I don't know how long or how much longer after, how often I will plan to be back. I do have some topics that I want to discuss, the American dream being one of them. And there's some other things that I want to be talking about as well, that I'll bring up in due time. I think I'll talk about it towards the end of my live, but I do know that it's going to be talking about specifically the aspect of preparing yourself for the future. I know a lot of you all, you've been hearing a lot of topics about that, as far as preparing for oneself for the things that are to come. There's a lot of stuff that has been happening, including now this trucker strike that's about to be occurring on October 1st. For those of you that may not know about that, you probably should be taking your time to do a little, do some research, to watch the news. There is going to be a strike that the truckers are planning to do, which is going to affect the food supply. So if you have not been taking the time to prepare, you should probably go ahead and do so now. There's also the things I want to talk about regarding the migrant crisis, how this affects the idea of the American dream, and the consumerism that of the American dream has created, and perhaps even an entitlement that we are seeing now starting to come to fruition in a way. So I'm talk about that. But in the meantime, let me see if I can get another comment here. Dipples Wimples, hey, thank you. Appreciate you. You wished me happy birthday earlier, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. Now, oh, that reminds me, happy birthday in advance, because I know your birthday is going to be coming up in October. So I wish you the first week of October. So I wish you happy birthday in advance. All right. So without further ado, before I get into the topic, if you have not hit the like button, make sure that you hit the like button as you come in. And if you are somebody who's not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that way you are alerted each time there is a new video that comes out. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the topic. And now I am going to turn off my camera so that way we can have the conversation. So now you don't see my face anymore. So now we're having a serious conversation. You guys know that earlier this year, actually some months ago, I started focusing on politics a little bit more, and I started focusing a little bit regarding like Project 2025, making sure that we were well versed about Project 2025, the Christian nationalists that were being brought up during that time, and things like that. So I thought that I was going to keep doing that. Not realizing that eventually we would not have Joe Biden on the presidential candidacy anymore, but it would be Kamala Harris. So after that whole thing with the debate, I was offline. I didn't know when exactly I was going to come back. And I was also at the time thinking about my content and what I wanted to do for the future with the content, and how I wanted to what I really wanted my content to be about. The thing about the whole Project 2025 thing, and really when you start getting into the trend, because Project 2025 was and still is a trend. It's not much of a trend as it was in the past, for a few months ago, but it's still much of a trend now because it's connected with Donald Trump, it's connected with the election, it's connected with a whole lot of stuff that is just by and large gossip, right? For me personally, I don't want my channel to be necessarily about gossip. I really want it to be about making sure that you are informed and that you are aware as it pertains to the content that I want to focus on, which is about humanity, growth, and purpose. Being purposeful is one of the things that I wanted and continue to desire my channel to be about. So I took some time away from YouTube. I didn't know when exactly I was going to come back online. To be honest, I enjoyed being offline. I enjoyed not having myself be stressed by needing to produce content. So I just enjoyed the ride of not needing to produce content. Even with everything that was going on with the migrant crisis, with, you know, the policies that were coming out from Donald Trump and to some degree Kamala Harris, particularly when it came to the opportunity economy stuff and whatnot, with the supply chain being in effect, the whole issue with the violence that was occurring in certain cities where migrants were being stored, the whole process of making them legal and whatnot, and now this trucker supply chain that's occurring, the trucker strike that would affect the supply chain. There's just a whole lot that has been on my mind that I think I want to share, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of this American dream. So that's what I want to focus on in this particular moment. So growing up, I remember hearing about the American dream. I think the first time I ever really heard about the American dream, I was probably somewhere in the 4th grade. That's when I really started hearing about, you know, the wife and husband with the 2.5 kids, having a yard and having a house, and how this was really considered to be, you know, having a good job was considered to be the American dream. And I remember myself when I was younger, I used to think, like, you know, what exactly is a 2.5 kid? How on earth do you have a 2.5 kid? And having a house and a family, you know, wanting to have a good job, why does that have to be considered a dream? Isn't that something that we all should want and really need to have in order to function? Why is that considered a dream? And I think not even recognize it when I was much younger, I started paying attention. I was aware that there was some form of commercialization. Even though I was young, I didn't know how to, I couldn't express it. I didn't really think about it at the time. But there's always been a level of commercialization when it came to the American dream. I didn't really start paying a whole lot of attention to that until, what's this here? 5 is the dog. 0.5 is the dog. Oh. Now I get it. Okay, wow. Yeah, I wouldn't have accomplished that aspect of the dream because I don't want pets in my house. So that probably wouldn't have worked out anyway. But in any case, but even in that, you see there's a commercialization with that too, right? Why is the 0.5 indicative of an animal? Why is that even included within having the American dream? You know what I mean? Like, you really see how you're being sold something. And it's kind of from that standpoint, you get not only the consumerism of what the American dream is supposed to be like, but it's also how you start getting yourself and both attached and entitled to having that dream. Right? I had no idea, right? So I didn't really start realizing how much the idea was commercialized until I got much older. Until I got out of school and I started connecting with people who were from different parts of the world, particularly from Africa, and, you know, primarily like Nigeria and stuff like that. And it wasn't until I started to really recognize how much the commercialization of the American dream, even when it comes to the idea of the education system or being involved, you know, being involved in education and having a good job and having this pathway to having American citizenship, really played into the role of this American dream. I only thought it from the aspect of the house and everything. I didn't think about it from the standpoint of just there's a whole system of consumerist system in place to portray this idea of the American dream. And it really started dawning on me. And I was even asking myself probably like a few years ago, I'm like, this whole idea of the American dream, is it really for the American, or is it really for people who are coming into the United States? Is it really for those who are immigrants? Is it really for those who manage, you know, to cross over, whether legally or illegally, and they are managing to, you know, to achieve that achieve that goal of having the quote unquote 2.5 kids, or having a house, having a pet, having access to the things that that we have, some of which we may take for granted, and for another aspect we're taking advantage of to try to keep this idea going, not only for the standpoint of having the American dream, but also needing to be the superpower leader across the world, and even if it's at our expense, right? You hear so many times, particularly those who are Christian nationalists, or for those who are just nationalists in general, there is this need to, and probably even an entitlement to be the number one in the world, even when it comes to the aspect of the dollar. So that's when I really started having an understanding that, or questioning about this idea of the American dream. Now, on top of that, just particularly as Black Americans in general, we question a lot of stuff as to what's actually intended for those that are, for American, what may be intentionally for us, and what may be intentionally for other people, and things like that. So there's always a level of skepticism anyway as to what the American dream is for us. I get that. Now, some of which may be healthy, some of it may not be so healthy, but the key is that within our culture, there's always a question of what is the American dream really, to some degree. Even if we're working towards it or we're trying to fight against it, there's always some level of skepticism. But overall, that's the question that I've always asked myself. Is this really something an idea to sell? Is this something that is really a reality, or is it an illusion that, in all honesty, people should want to have everywhere, right? They should have that in whatever country they come from, to have a house, to have a good job, to have a pet in their home, to have the things that we're saying that is the ideal American should be the ideal everywhere, right? So I came across that, and it wasn't until this migrant situation occurred where we are starting to see people come, like millions of people coming across the border. Not even just coming across the border, there's some people who are even being flown to like certain cities and stuff because they are wanting to replace workers, or they're laying off workers and replacing them with the migrants because they'll be at cheaper cost, or something to that effect, right? We're having all these people that are coming in from Venezuela, from Haiti, even from China. There's like so many countries of people. There's so many countries that have the people that are just running in through the country, and in our country, and we're seeing how there are officials that are not really listening to the people. There is an increase of homelessness within with Americans, while migrants are being given jobs, and they're being given. So hold on a second. Let me see this. I heard about them going on an app to get flown in. Wow, they have an app. Ooh. Okay. See. All right. See, I'm about to get sidetracked. Let me move on. So, you're having all these people that are coming in. They're being shipped in. They're being flown in, and they're coming for the things that the Americans have as the ideal American dream. They're squatting in homes, particularly if you're in New York. You can squat in a home for days, and eventually you'll be seen as that person will be seen as a tenant, and you would be an owner. You would be like a landlord. You can't get them out of the house. So you have the whole thing with Springfield. Now, I know Donald Trump brought that attention to Springfield in Ohio, where the cats and dogs and stuff. Now, from what I heard from the residents, that stuff is actually true. But the officials say that it isn't really happening. And Donald Trump was made to look like he was crazy for even mentioning that, or even seen as racist, because of the Haitian immigrants that are there. Right, the squatter laws, Dimples, the squatter laws. Yes. Mm-hmm. So there's been that, and then you have migrants that are in. I think there's Haitian migrants even in Charleroi, Pennsylvania. Like, where are these people? And these are small cities, so it's like, where are these people? How these people were able to organize so quickly in these smaller cities? Normally, they go to like the big cities. They go to like particularly The more obviously known cities, like let's say Chicago or New York City, or let's say they would go to Houston, Texas, maybe even Dallas, Texas. Maybe they would be in it close to Atlanta or something like that. They would go to like the obvious cities. But Springfield and Charleroi, like some of these names that I didn't even know even existed within the country. But again, they are being put into the position where they are able to get home, they're able to have money, they're able to have access to things that Americans have. And while they are being positioned to have the quote unquote American dream, more and more Americans are struggling, and even some of them are being homeless as well. Now, I do think a good portion of that could be from the standpoint of trying to balance the finances, despite the fact that economy is adjusting. But the reality is that the economy is not doing well. It's being stressed and strained. Resources are being stressed and strained. And now we have this situation that is coming up with our supply chain, which has already been kind of in a mess due to the war that's been occurring and the Houthis that have been attacking the ship and stuff. So it's already been bad enough. We also had that incident a few months ago with one of the bridges. I think it was called the Great Scott Bridge over in Baltimore, which is a major port bridge that was struck. So with this and with keeping all this in mind, there was a YouTuber that I was listening to who was talking about how the American dream seemed like it's fading away for people. And for me personally, I thought very differently. I thought like, no, I don't think that it is. I don't think it's fading away. I think it's being given over to the people who are the replacement workers, which are going to be these migrants, and it's going to be AI. You can't get the American dream to AI, but there's a lot of replacement that are going on that involve the migrants and these and AI. These are what we will call the new Negroes, right? These are going to be the people that are going to work because they don't mind having, the lower pay, and AI does not complain, right? You can at least for right now, unless they give it more sentience, but for right now, all they can mainly do is just to function. So you get the people to work with AI, you train them to work with the AI, you get the migrants to do, the lesser work that people don't want to do, and then that causes other people that you don't want to have involved to be laid off. And then there's the opportunity economy and whatnot. Now, there's a whole lot of stuff that I could just get into that it just seemed like it would just be a lot to take in. But I want to focus specifically on the American dream. I can talk about the other stuff later for another time. But for the American dream aspect, I think the American dream is being handed over to these migrants. And if you don't have something in place, if you don't have a dream of your own, if you don't have something that you are working for towards yourself, working towards for yourself, you can find yourself in a very bad position. Now, I remember like a couple of years ago, I was talking about the importance of being productive, being a producer, being able to focus on being able to build something for yourself, and making sure that you were doing whatever it takes to be ahead of the curve and being productive as much as you can. I think that we're at a point now where the time is kind of becoming up for that. And if you haven't really done the work to start preparing for it, you can find yourself in major trouble. And then we haven't even talked about the whole cyber attacks, potential cyber attacks. I think there's been some viruses and some illnesses that have been manifesting, like I think like mpox and stuff like that. There's a whole lot going on. But the bottom line is this: as an American, I think you're going to have to start letting go of the American dream. As long as you're holding on to that, you're going to be, how do I say this? You're going to be looking at the migrants as if they're taking something from you, when it's really these officials who could be doing their job and making sure that it doesn't happen, and they're not. So let me see here. I've seen other people of other races buying at least 3 to 5 houses on a single block. Brand new, by the way. What? While other people are out here struggling to pay for that, to pay for like mortgage and stuff, pay for their bill. They got other people coming in buying 3 to 5 houses on a single block. Now, I do know that's something that I hear that I know for like billionaires and stuff, they're buying up plots of land too. Now, I think they're doing that for whatever they're going to be having as their food, as the new food and stuff. They're buying up these lands so that way they can start planning and plotting that type of stuff. Which that leads to a whole nother topic. People out here worried about Project 2025. There's some other stuff that people are not talking about at all that we need to be worried about. One of those things, I'll say that for another video. I'll say that for later. But that's another thing too. We'll talk about Project 2025, but Project 2025, as much as people are worried about that, that is not nearly the big issue right now. Anything that can be easily accessible for you to read, and that can be talked about so much to the point where it gains trending topics of gossip and stuff like that, that's usually not the major thing to worry about. It's the stuff that people aren't talking about that they're walking you into while they use the other one as kind of like the trap or the mechanism to lure you into it. I believe Project 2025 is that. The Heritage Foundation has already stated very clearly, and even Trump has said himself, that he's not associated with it. Now, people can believe him or not, but it's very interesting that Project 2025 is constantly talked about. It's constantly mentioned in ads. It's constantly mentioned in videos and live streams and stuff like that. But nobody's talking about Project 2030. If you are somebody who, and that actually is a thing, Project 2030, Agenda 2030, you guys may want to look that up if you don't know, because this is something that is associated with the United Nations. And this is the thing they have been preparing us for, so I want to say, probably since 2015, they've been making announcements about it, how everything is pretty much going into being plant-based, and all that type of stuff, and everything being electric-based, everything being like closer. I think they're setting the stage for having certain places be 15-minute cities and stuff like that. Whole nother type. I didn't want to get into that, but that's something that we're going to have to discuss, because much of what we've been seeing, particularly when it comes to this opportunity economy that Kamala Harris talks about, a whole nother problematic issue in itself, may have a lot to do with the Agenda Project 2030 that they are planning, but using Project 2025 as the scapegoat to be concerned about. So, but in any case, let me get back to the actual topic at hand, which is the American dream. The American dream has always, from my standpoint and from what I have seen, has always been a standpoint to get people, particularly I think those who are immigrants, and maybe even those who are migrants, especially those who are immigrants, whether legal or illegal, it's there to get them to invest into America. I think once you are able to establish 2 or more generations into this country, you shouldn't want the American dream anymore. And that's part of the reason why, like, even when I was younger, I would say a few years ago, thinking about the American dream, I was like, why do we still have Americans that are still dreaming? Like, at this point now, this is the life that you live. This is the life that you should know. At this point, this should be like substandard. This should be something that, you've already done and accomplished. Now we should be moving forward. How are we moving forward from that? And I think at this point now, with what is happening with the American dream now and how that is changing, much of this country is changing. If you aren't really clear about what your dream is as an American, what you are willing to invest into as the legacy that you want to have for your family at this point, you might be in some serious trouble. You might be in some trouble, because with what's happening now, if you are not adjusting to the things that are happening with AI, with the migrant crisis, even if you have Trump that's in office and he does something about the migrants, what we know to be reality has changed in this country. And I don't know what he may have planned for, the babies that will be born here from these migrants, because, once they're born, once they're on U.S. soil, they will be seen as American citizens. So I don't know what would be the plan for that. But the way that we have been able to view things within America has changed significantly. And our economy is changing. And especially if we get that opportunity economy thing going, which we still really have no genuine idea as to what that is supposed to be and how, because I haven't heard Kamala Harris talk about what she plans to do with the migrants. As far as I'm concerned, she probably sees them all as immigrants. If this opportunity thing comes about, how is this going? How is this migrant crisis and these economic policies regarding this unrealized capital gain? How is that going to play in effect to what goes on with the future of this country? This is going to be something that we're going to have to take our time to truly prepare for, because it's becoming more and more real each and every single day. So, like I said, I do not think the American dream is over or dead or kaput or anything like that. I think that it is changing to where it is fitting the migrants who are here to either be a replacement or to, especially when it comes to like the criminals and stuff, they're basically getting a brand new life, so to speak. Now, I don't know all the dirt that they have on these people. They're not simply releasing to the public, but we know that many of them are indeed criminals, especially for those that are in Venezuela. They're basically coming over here to many of them are coming over here to be the Americans of today, the new Negro, right? So that's what I think the American dream is going to be for these Negroes. And so if you're not clear about what your dream is, what you're going to be wanting for the future of your family, that is not the American dream, you may want to really take some time to think about that now, especially before these strikes start happening, before we start really seeing these empty shells come into place. That could be that way for months. If the strike is over, we still could see an after effect from that. What are you going to be working towards this particular can I say season? I know I'm thinking from my Christian mindset, but do I want to say season? In this moment, in this era that is befalling the United States, it would be really good to have some foresight about what our future is going to be looking like, especially with our economy being the way that it is, with gold striking new heights every single day, which implies that our dollar is weakening all the more, with the de-dollarization that is happening amongst countries because the dollar is getting weaker. You have XRP and XLM that's coming into play. You have gold. There's ChatGPT that is gaining more and more intelligence. They're developing it more. There's so many things. There's so many things now that we wouldn't have thought about 5 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, that's coming into play today. And we have to start preparing ourselves for the future change of what America could end up being like, especially if we're not prepared. Now, if you are prepared, as one thing, you managed to find a way to really survive, this the shift that is occurring. But my goal is to really talk about those, to really implant into the mind of those who really have not been taking this seriously. This is not the usual election that we've had. This is not the usual election period and season that we've had. We see some really crazy stuff. We have witnessed now 2 attempts on a presidential candidate's life, a former president at that, his life. We have witnessed somebody, let's not see. Now I'm going to start. I'll be attacking somebody, so I'll leave it there. But we're witnessing some different change in how we are viewing our country, our election period. And listen, I'm going to say this too, and I know and I say this because we have Black people here, we have Black Americans here. No matter what happens, no matter what has happened in this country is yours. We may not like it. We may not like the history that has been brought forth with it, especially for slavery and the disenfranchisement in so many ways. But this is home for us. And if we don't fend for home, then we may not have much of anything except you plan to go there unless you plan to move out. But for those of you that plan to stay here, for those of you who plan to stay in the country, you need to be very clear about what it is that you are working towards now, before things get even worse. Especially now, if you're looking at these migrants, one of the places that they're going to try to fit these migrants in is going to be where you predominantly are as Black people. Be mindful of what you are wanting to work towards now, so that way that by the time things get more serious, I would say probably by the time 2030 gets here, you are prepared for where you wanted to go, or at least more prepared. I hope you have been taking the time to like stock food, stock items. Oh, Q's here. Hey, click the tarot. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Thank you for the birthday wish. I hope that you all really are taking the time to prepare yourselves for what is to come. It's about to get rowdier. I think I heard a rumor that there's about to be some type of mass casualty that occurs before the election. What could that be? Y'all, we really don't know. We're in some, it's wild. Which is why it's very important to start talking about this American dream, and why as Americans, you may need to start reconsidering what your dreams need to be. Because what we have known to be the commercialized, entitled version of the American dream is slipping further and further away from us as the economy changes, as more and more of these migrants come here, as there are more violence that occurs with these migrants and they're getting all these benefits and stuff, as supply chains starts changing, with the truckers with being on strike and stuff. Be very mindful. Be mindful of your money. I do want to talk about that eventually with the idea of money and stuff, because I've been watching channels. I've been watching I Can Make You Rich by Remy Sethi. I think it's Sethi. And I've watched how American couples handle money and have many of them have a lack of discipline when it comes to money. You guys may want to stop that. You may be at a point in time where you really need to start getting a handle on how to manage your money, because you can probably find yourself in a really bad position, especially with how things turn out after this election and things with the community economy goes into effect. As we get closer and closer to Agenda 2030 that's been proposed by the UN, people got you worried about Project 2025. They're not talking about project or Agenda 2030. That and at the rate it's going, how sustainable it's going to be for people like us who are in the middle class or in working class or whatever, and even how that may even affect billionaires, especially with that unrealized capital gain. But that can affect you too. So take some time to really at least tweak the idea of the American dream, even if you may have to downsize. And that depends on where you are financially and stuff like that. But you're really gonna have to get a hold of your money, and you're really gonna have to have a vision for what things could be like for up to 2030. Okay, we'll talk more about Agenda 2030 eventually. That may or may not be my next video. And I don't know how often I plan to do 2 videos. Like I said, I've been enjoying not going live, but I had to start talking about this because at this point now, I think the American people are going to have to start putting things into their own hands. Not that now, if we're not going to have a revolution by way of actually changing some stuff within the country, then you're going to have a revolution with how you handle yourself in the midst of these changes. Because these changes that are coming forth, they're very serious. Okay. So yep, A2030. See, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. They got you worried about Project 2025, but y'all, that's a Trojan horse. Let me see this right here. Astrologically, the changes are coming. We have to see how things will change. Yeah, so they're coming, whether you like it or not. So if they are going to change in that particular direction, are you able to cope? Some of us, we're very focused on the election, and I think that's all well and good. But the key thing now, I would say, it's going to be after this election. Because whatever happens with this election, we don't know if it's going to be an election or there's going to be a selection. There's a whole lot more things to worry about besides what's going to be happening in November. Now is going to be that for the people that have foresight. And I want to say this too, before I go. Your representatives are not your leaders. Your representatives are people who represent your interests. One of the things that has really kind of bothered me, particularly those who are in a democracy, is that they actually believe that the people who are doing all these laws and doing all these policies and stuff, they are their leaders. Y'all heard her. Like the video, support, because we're gonna have this conversation. We need to have these conversations, y'all, because the times are upon us and are very real. We get so caught up in looking at these people. We look at the president. We look at the people who are in Congress. We look at the Senate. We look at all these people who are in, like, the White House. We look at people who are in our governments and stuff, and we look at them as if they are our leaders. In a democracy, the power belongs to the people. And even in a constitutional republic, the power belongs in the Constitution, because it's the Constitution that defines who you are, from a basic standpoint as an American. The people who are there in those offices, they are not your leaders, okay? They are the people who represent the interests that you promote, which means if you elect them into office, they're not going to lead you. Well, they may lead you, but it may not be something that's very good. They're going to represent the interests that you vote for, which means if you are somebody who is in Chicago right now and you're upset about the fact that these migrants are coming in and they're taking over stuff, it's because you put these people into office. They're not doing the job to lead you. They're going to support their interests because that's what you voted for them to do. Until that starts changing in this country, where we stop looking at these people that are in suits and are in office as people who are supposed to be doing the things that we need to do, so that way we are having an effective country, or we're having effective interests in place. Until we start seeing people that way, we're going to descend further and further down to, I hope they just simply Agenda 2030. But with what is going on now for the United States in particular, we could be seeing the end of the way of life for Americans. It really has upset me, people who claim to be advocates for democracy giving their power away. And for me, I'm somebody who has, over this particular election, I've become more and more conservative, right? So I'm becoming more of the mindset of the constitutional republic. But even when I see the people who are standing for that, they're looking for somebody to save that savior complex, that leader complex. It always seems to find its way to creep into the mindset of people that somebody's just going to make their lives better. No, this is your job. You have to be able to be an advocate for that. And that's, I believe that when it even comes to this American dream, you are the one that set the standard for the dream. That's not just something that's given to you. That's not some commercialized package. That's not some consumeristic package that people should just aspire to want. Even Americans, like, you are the American. You're the one that sets the standard for the dream. You're the one that supports the interest for what that dream should look like. Nobody should be doing that for you. So I wanted to give that. I wanted to give that topic. This is something that has been on my mind, and why, if I oftentimes believe that people should really know their worth as Americans before they vote. If you don't know your worth, if you don't know the power that you have as a citizen to be a voice of the standards and the interests that you wish to have, you may want to consider whether or not you need to be voting. Just saying, like, you can't be scared of the policies that you see. You can't just not have answers to policies. You cannot just simply look at somebody and think that they're going to rescue and save you from yourself. You can't just look at somebody who is just going to look at one aspect of the interest that you have. We're not looking at the full picture. That is within your power. If you're wanting a democracy, if you are believing that this is a democracy, that means the power is in your voice. The power is in your decision to decide what's going to be the best for this country. If you're somebody who's good for the Constitution, you got to go with what's for the best, that goes for the best interpretation of the Constitution. That also means that you believe in to some degree, feudalism, because whatever is not allowed to be within the interest of the Constitution, that goes to the state. So you can't just be upset that, and some of that kind of goes within Roe v. Wade, because I don't want to get into that topic. Let me do that. So let me just simply say this. The power of what happens with this country lies with the people. It will always lie with the people. And depending on how educated you are or uneducated you are, you could be instrumental in putting this country into a better position, or you can have a hand in it being on its decline. Now, no matter how you feel about that, if you have your own beliefs about what the country is, that's all well and good. But at this point now, I think that it's a moot point at this point, because everything that we're about to witness with this country is about to change. And if you aren't adapting to it, if you aren't putting yourself in a position where you are adapting to it, you can find yourself at a really losing spot. And that's all I want to say. That's all I wanted to say. So thank you all for taking the time to listen. Thank you all for the birthday wishes yet again. It means a lot to me. I appreciate the support from the people. Thank you all for coming back. It's been quite some time. I didn't know whether or not I was going to be talking to myself here. But for everybody who has been here, I want to say thank you very much for being a part of this live. I do want to talk about Agenda 2030. I need to do some more research because with what's happening now, especially with how the seasons are changing, how things are developing and devolving over time, and at the rate that we're going into it, we could be putting ourselves into a position where, yeah, we'll be in the 2030 agenda, but it's going to come at the risk of our society. It's going to come at the risk of our economy. It's going to come at the risk of our well-being and our health. It's going to come at the risk of just being totally unprepared for this shift, and something could happen to you. Something could happen to you. Like, you may unalive yourself. Somebody may unalive you. But at this point now, we have to change. Like Q said, the USA has to change. And my thing is that the US will change. Oh, hold on, let me see something. Would you be open to discussing these changes with me, Kev, as a part of an astrological overview? Sure. Just let me know when you want to do that, and we can have a discussion about that. That'll be fine. I may do that after my fast though, so probably within October, I'll be more available for something like that. But yeah, that would be fine. So yeah, but the thing is that things will change. The question is, when the change comes, where are you going to stand in the midst of that? Are you going to be at the right side of it, or are you going to be on the side where it may not end up well for you? Just saying. And I'm not even saying I'm not even saying I have everything 100% all the way together, but I'm being aware. A lot of us are not aware enough because we're so distracted by what's going on with all these trends, with Friday 2025, with Diddy, with this election, with so many other things, with all the different the violences that are occurring, which typically happen around this time anyway. We're so distracted, we're so divided, and we're just not doing enough to make sure that I don't think a lot of us are really doing enough to be prepared. Just a little bit of what I was saying before. I'm following a channel known as I think it's I Can Help You Grow Rich, or I can make you rich or something like that. And I look at couples, with how they handle money, how they handle, their situation, how they handle their day-to-day situation. Like, I'm not even saying that to pick on them. I'm just saying that, to just have, again, some foresight. A lot of people don't even talk about money, you all. Like, even before they get married, they don't talk about money. They don't talk about the vision that they want to have as the wealth that they want to build together. It's almost kind of like some people they have like two different views about how they want to have a rich life as a couple, instead of uniting as one to say, okay, what is our vision together? And because of that, they splurge money in one place, they get too conservative with money in another place, and they max out on credit cards in another area. And you have to be very mindful of having these conversations so that way, like, if things were to happen, if things were to go just completely awry, are you going to be okay? Like, you have people that they're not even talking about what they want to do for the next, what would happen in the next 3 years, particularly if this economic change were to occur, especially with if the tax cuts are removed. When you get the tax increase, get the unrealized gains that start happening, people are not, I guarantee you that a lot of people are not talking about that. They're more concerned about the candidate that they want to advocate for because they care about their interests for today, instead of really preparing for what is going to happen for the future of your money, for the future of what you want to have access to within the next 3 to 4 years of this next presidency. I guarantee you a lot of people, they don't have a clue. Don't know. Don't have a plan. You got to have a plan. You got to have a vision. And this goes back to the idea of the American dream. A lot of people have bought into the consumerism idea of the American dream. And we're at a point now where if you don't really have a true, genuine plan, true vision of your own, you're going to be in some really tough shape, because it's happening. It's happening right in front of us. We're watching people. We're watching people like struggling, pay to get groceries, to buy groceries, pay for the gas, finding good jobs so that way they can keep a family. We're seeing more people, particularly men, becoming unmotivated to want to have to work because they either don't have the momentum or the ambition, or because they're drained dry. More women are stepping up to have to work, which makes them stressed because they have to think about work and they have to think about the family. Y'all, it's a lot. It's a lot that's going on. So if you want to make sure that you have a vision for something, you got to talk about your money. You got to have a plan for your money. If you're somebody who's not even married yet, the first thing you need to do before you even start talking about an engagement, you got to talk about money. You got to talk about your past. You got to talk about your traumas with money, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people have traumas with money. I think probably the vast majority of American people in general have traumas with their money. Hey, Andrea and Empress Kia. Hey, good seeing you. Yeah, so listen, that's true. Yep, Q got her deep freezer. All right. So let's see here. Q says that her husband and she had a 5-year plan. No foundation. Most couples lack goals, vision, money management skill. Yes. Especially here in New York City. And see, New York City is the area where there are a whole lot of migrants that are being stored right now, about to take folks' American dream away. See what I'm talking about? We were just talking about New York City. Just talking about it. Yeah. So y'all got to have a plan for that. So people don't talk about money. People don't talk about the what ifs and what they need to have to plan for, so that in case they get California too. Yeah, California too. It's a real, y'all see these things. These people aren't talking. Texas too. Yes. Chicago, Illinois too. Colorado too. Nevada too. It's happening everywhere. So you really want to start. You really got to start getting out of just simply feeling as if you are entitled to the American dream. Because a lot of these people who are doing that who are doing this lack of talk about money and planning ahead with the foresight of the future. These are people who have also bought into the idea that they are entitled to a dream that I'm questioning whether or not it was really for us. But now that it's being taken away, you guys start having a plan now for what your dream is going to be once that entitled American dream that you believe is heading to you on the silver platter is gone, because it's happening. It's happening. Okay. So that's everything. I didn't even know I was going to rant about that, but it's really bothersome to me that nobody is willing to talk about the money. And then you waiting. People are waiting like 5-10 years. They're deep in debt. You have people that constantly avoid talking about money, avoid talking about income, avoid talking about things that are required to grant you access in a society so that way that you can have better options. You have people that don't talk about that, and that could be the detriment down the line that could get you into some very serious trouble for the future. Y'all, 2020, we got to talk about Agenda 2030 and how the pacing in which we are being put into that. It's been starting since, I want to say 2015 to 2017, but the pacing of it has been so rapid recently, especially because the whole pandemic thing, and with everything that's happening with the war and stuff. It's been happening so fast that many of us, we're not ready for what's to come. Black people ain't ready. White people ain't ready. Latinos ain't ready. Asian folks ain't ready. Nobody's like truly ready for what's to come. But having a plan, having some type of plan that is a good cushion for you could be the start of that. That's going to have to start being a part of your American dream, not just a house with kids and a dog and thinking you're going to live happily ever after because you got a job. That's not being dependable anymore. Talk about it. Get a new dream. Don't even get a dream. Get a legacy. Have a vision for yourself. Have a true legacy for yourself. Okay? So that is it. I had no idea I was going to be spending my birthday ranting and raving about money. I was just going to talk about the American dream, but the truth of the matter is, you can't talk about the American dream and not talk about money. You can't talk about the American dream and thinking about the future of your career, think about the future of your family, the level of education that you may get to receive because you don't have the proper access to things. So it's all important. So I will leave it at that. Y'all, thank you for indulging me. I'm really, really grateful for to be back. We'll talk more things soon. We'll talk about the Agenda 2030. We may need to talk about the opportunity economy, which may mean that we're going to have to talk about Kamala Harris. I know some people that are supportive of Kamala Harris, and some of y'all may not like what I'm going to have to say about her. We're going to have to talk about her because depending on how this election goes, our economy is going to change. And that's going to play a massive role for what our future is going to be looking like once these Trump tax cuts are gone, once these unrealized gains start coming into the picture, how that's going to affect businesses and corporate stuff, and how that ultimately can affect you as a middle class or working class citizen who is going to be in need of some jobs, and you probably can't get one because they're laying people off by the millions instead of thousands. That is what this economy that she is proposing could lead things to becoming. So we have to talk about that too. And again, depending on how fast things go, when 2030 gets here, are you going to be in a position where you still have a job or you still have some income coming in due to all these changes with the economy? All right. So talk about that. We have some other stuff that we talk about as well. So thank you all for indulging me. I wish you all a wonderful day. Remember, if you are new to this channel, hold on, let's see here. Our economy is going to get worse if 45 is reelected, but nobody wants to talk about that. There is that, of course. I think with either one of these candidates, but I think particularly when it comes to Kamala, because I've been listening to people who are from China, who are Chinese immigrants, who talk about how her economy is the very thing that is going to bring in communism. This is the work of communism. It's not just simply, not just only on TikTok. There is somebody who is actually a Chinese American accountant who has talked about Kamala Harris and how bad it really is and how it's going to play a negative impact on the economy that we have. So we have to talk about that. I will check out Trump's policies as well, but the primary focus has been on Kamala Harris lately because for the longest time she did not have any policies, and the main thing that she's been talking about now, beyond just abortion, and stuff like that, and migrant. We got to talk about it too, because I think a lot of people really don't know how much, when people talk about the division between the Republicans and stuff, and when it comes to race and stuff, I don't think a lot of people are aware that when it comes to Democrats, and in particular with Kamala Harris, she has her own history that plays a role into disenfranchising Black people. We have to talk about Joe Biden and his history, the mentor that he had. Like, there's a whole lot. Young was a whole lot. We gotta talk about it. Okay. So make sure you hit the like button. Make sure that you click the notification bell to click the subscribe button, so that way you are alerted every time there is a new video. I'm going to take this one right here. I'm just saying this 45 has done so much behind the scenes. It's atrocious. If he's reelected, everyone's going to feel it, and it's not going to be good. We're going to feel it no matter what. We're going to feel it no matter what, no matter who's in the office. That's my thing. I think that so far, and that's why I say, like, I look more into Trump's policies when it comes to the economy. No matter who's in the office, economically, we're really going to start feeling some stuff. And I'm going to take my time to look through I know he has the Agenda 47, but I really want to take my time what he has in store for the economy. Now, also, I'm very leery about wanting him too, just because everything that he does, he makes the focus about him. And again, this goes back to this leadership thing that I was talking about and the savior complex, which Donald Trump likes to do and portray. For me, it makes it very difficult to want to even think about wanting to consider him, and even if it's for the standpoint of an alternative. But we gotta start looking at some stuff, you all. We really gotta start taking our time, because again, there's Agenda 2030. And then there's other stuff that you gotta think about at this point now. Economically speaking, everybody gotta start looking out for themselves. Everybody gotta start looking at the interests that they are wanting to have for themselves. Anyone who is portraying themselves to be like this leader who is going to lead to this revolution of changing for the future or going back to the past, I don't think that you should be trusting any one of them completely. At the end of the day, this is about your money. It's about your pockets. It's about your pocketbook. It's about your life. And you need to make sure that you are in a position where you can be okay. Because from what I see, we're not looking okay. Okay, we're not looking okay. And regardless of how things may have been in the past, this is the new era that we're walking into. So even if Trump were in office, I don't know how well he would fare with this particular election, with this particular time anyway. So go into this. If you have a person who is running for president who's self-serving, and there has always been self-serving, that's not good for the people that doesn't care about the interests of the people. Fair enough. That is something that I have been definitely noticing about Trump, especially more and more, especially with that debate that have been occurring. But it's a whole lot. For me personally, both these things are problematic. I'm going to talk about it more. I think when I talk about it from both aspects of both Trump and Kamala, but I also think that we have to talk about Kamala because for a lot of reasons, there's been a lot of censorship of what happened with her too. So we're gonna get into that eventually, but we'll work our way into that. I think because of this conversation, I think it would be better if we start talking about Agenda 2030 first before we start getting into all of that type of stuff. So, all right, guys. So thank you all for wishing me happy birthday. I'm on chapter 35 of my life. I'm so grateful and thankful for another year of living. I'm still on my fast. So if you don't see me around until October, you know why. But I will be back eventually. You will see me. You will see me again on some of your channels. And I just want to say thank you for those who have hung out with me, who have stuck around. Some of y'all I know for years. And I'm just very, very thankful. So I will catch you all next time. See you all with the next live stream that comes up. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.